Hi everyone, welcome back to another gameplay of Infinitode 2. So, in this video I'm going to show you how to maximize your custom map farming. Now, the farming on your custom maps is going to be something especially needed as soon as you unlock Endless. So when you achieve this upgrade right here, and that can be achieved when you complete the whole story, so when you finish stage 5.8, this game mode is gonna make enemies harder, but you're gonna get more prizes, and also, and that's the most special thing, enemies are gonna drop loot, and therefore you're gonna be able to start gaining resources, green papers, blueprints, map tiles, tickets, bidders, all that. You're gonna be able to start gaining it from enemies, and therefore that is what you should be using your custom maps for. You don't wanna use your custom maps to farm resources. So if you ever need resources, play normal levels. I recommend to go like to level 5.5. It's a level that you should be able to survive a lot of waves. Play on normal, of course, and you can gain here, you see, a lot of scalar, a lot of vector, and also matrix and tensor. Level 5.7 is also pretty nice because it's another level when you can survive very long, and you can farm a lot of Infure and tensor especially, and even like also stage 5.8, it's pretty decent, but you can't survive as long, and especially for Infure. Even if stage 5.6 is good for Infure, but once again it's a pretty tough level, so you can't survive as long. Or if you can access to level 6.3, this is also another very good level to farm if you're also using overloads to farm all type of resources. So remember, if you need resources, farm normal levels. Don't use custom maps to farm resources. And now second thing is which are the best towers to use to farm your custom maps. Now the best one is gonna be Flamethrower. So this is the very first tower that you want to use, and therefore your custom map must be built around this tower. This tower is also very easy to build because you're gonna just need range and damage. There is no attack speed, there is no projectile speed, and all that stuff, so it's very easy to focus on these two stats, especially damage, to maximize this tower. Then as you progress through the game, you can start farming your custom maps with a combination of Flamethrower and Splash. That's a very important tower then for 6.3. So if you start spending some resources also to start increasing your splash damage and overall levels and all that stuff, is gonna also be useful for 6.3. So combination of Flamethrower and Splash, in my opinion, is just the best one to use in your custom maps. And now I'm gonna just give you some tips on how to build your custom map and how to play on it. So first of all, when you start from Flamethrower, you're gonna build a map that looks roughly like this. So at the center you have a damage tile. Whatever highest you have, that's okay. You're gonna have 8 platforms around it. That's where you're gonna place your modifiers. And then you're gonna see, you're gonna place like as many of these road tiles so that there are these 90-degree turns, so that it looks like a ladder, see? And you're gonna develop this map from the center, so when you're gonna place your Flamethrower outside, and then that the tiles go back in. So enemies are gonna get in range, out of range, in range again, out of range, in range, out of range. So like this pattern, right? That's something very important because Flamethrower is gonna set the enemies on fire. So even if enemies are not gonna be attacked directly, they're gonna still receive damage. Then very important, the base, as I said before, focus on range and damage. Those are the two most important stats for Flamethrower. If you can also get stats like experience multiplier, towers upgrade price reduction, extra coins, extra lives, that's of course a bonus, but the most important stats are going to be range and damage. So pick whatever base you have that has the highest stats on that. Portals instead, once again, it's the highest difficulty that you have, alright? And very important, enemies that can be spawned must not have here healers and armored. So you must avoid portals that have healers, that are these enemies right here, these pentagon orange enemies, or armored, that are instead these square green enemies. So these two type of enemies right here, those are the ones that you want to avoid. So don't place portals that spawn those two type of enemies. And then once you have done that, if you can choose portals that spawn this enemy right here, fighter, so this hexagonal violet enemy, that's a bonus, because these enemies are gonna drop more loot compared to other type of enemies. So yeah, that's just pretty much it. And this is the base that you want to have. Now in terms of special items, you can go for, of course, cores. If you have an alpha core, go for an alpha core. If you have a delta core, go for it. And if you have a zeta core, go for it. So remember that you can craft, for example, like alpha cores into delta cores, and you can craft delta cores into zeta cores. So always try to go for the highest one you have. And once again, in the cores, remember to focus always on damage, range, power per level. Very important actually. So power per level, damage, range, then if you can, like upgrade cost reduction, or even like experience multiplier, damage for the modifiers as well. And yeah, those stats are gonna be the most important ones. Avoid stuff like attack speed, because flamethrower once again doesn't have it. Avoid passive experience, avoid projectile speed, because those are gonna be stuff like passives that flamethrower doesn't have or doesn't need that much. And instead, in terms of boss styles, if you have this one right here that you can get from like the lucky wheel, is going to increase by 10% your loot. So that's the rarity, the rarity of the loot. So that's nice, but it's gonna halve the waves on which the enemies come out. So instead of like enemies, the bosses, coming out at wave 40, 60, 80, 100 and so on, they're gonna come at half of those waves. So you're gonna have a lot more enemies to deal with. But if you want, you can do that. But at the beginning, I recommend not placing it. Even if you have it, don't place it. Just try to beat the enemies like as normal. And yeah, that's it. Now another very important thing is looking at the waves. So remember that flamethrower and especially flamethrower, right, cannot hit flying enemies. So you're gonna need to use abilities, especially ball lightning. That's your core ability for custom maps farming. You're gonna need to use this ability to destroy flying enemies. And so if flying enemies come out very quickly, you can see here wave 5, wave 9, that's a no. So you can change probability very simply here by just changing something in the custom map. Maybe here, see the core, I'm gonna just move it in this other platform. And now what this means is that the custom map changes, and therefore now the enemies spawning and which ones are gonna come out and so on is different. See that now enemies are different. The first final wave is gonna be wave 15, and that should be enough time to generate 1 energy to use a lightning bolt for that wave. So yeah, try to do this process. So try to manipulate the waves as many times as needed until you have the flying enemies coming out after wave 15. So wave 15 is like your minimum threshold, and then yeah, all the next flying enemies are gonna come out, of course, are gonna be destroyed with other abilities that you might have. And yeah, so that's the first thing that you wanna consider and you wanna do when you're farming your custom maps. Another thing is the difficulty at which you're playing. Now, Chun-Fu-Chou research has shown that there is a huge spike in terms of amount of loot when you go from 150 difficulty to like 200 and 250 especially. So see this button right here? With this button you can increase the difficulty on endless. And now your maximum threshold is actually 300. If you go past the 300, enemies are going to become too tough and the amount of loot you gain is not going to be that higher. Instead, until 300, this is like the best ratio between enemies difficulty and amount of loot that you get. So if you can unlock here the difficulty at 300, then just keep on playing at 300%. Even if you get stronger, you get more research, and you feel like you could be playing at higher difficulties, just keep it at 300. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, I mean, I can show you here one run, right? Why not? Let's see here the waves though, because I think they're gonna be slightly different. Wave 19, yeah, that's okay. So what you're gonna do is, well, you're gonna place your flamethrower right first, right here. Unfortunately, I have max endless research, so my flamethrower is super strong. My modifiers are gonna be super strong, so you cannot really compare this run to like what's gonna be your run if you don't have as much research. But the most important things are gonna be the same. So first of all, flamethrower. Then in one corner, go for search modifier. This is gonna increase even more the range, so that's good. Then remember to place flamethrower on random targeting. And also search makes the tower, so makes flamethrower to search for new enemies, so that like it makes it level up slightly faster. So you apply burning to more different enemies, so you receive like slightly more experience. So that's something nice as well. And then you start here. I recommend at the beginning having Insta Auto Wave disabled, and then you can have it enabled if you have enough damage on your towers. You're gonna go for the first two abilities here on flamethrower. And now another very important thing is that top, down, left, and right. So at the sides of the tower, you're gonna go for damage modifiers. So of course, you're gonna keep on upgrading your towers, like level 2, 3, 4, up to 5, 6, and then you're gonna place your modifiers. You're not gonna have, of course, as much cash as I do. You're not gonna be generating this amount of cash, but you get the idea on what you should be doing. And for the flying enemies, right, remember to use Ball Lightning. Another ability you can also go with is Thunder, but in my opinion, like Ball Lightning should be more than enough for bosses and for the overall custom map farming. When your flamethrower reaches level 20, remember to go for more power. Don't go for the ultimate because it's gonna be useless for the farming. Go for more power because that increases the damage. Then here, remember to focus on power, bonus power per level, damage, range, right? Those are the 3 most important stats that you're gonna go for in your core. And then remember about like damage on the modifiers, and experience multiplier, you know, all this. So I'm keeping here my flamethrower level 1 because otherwise I would gain too much damage and I would destroy the enemies too quickly. So that's why I'm keeping it low, so that this could be a realistic comparison. And for bosses, you're gonna end up needing like almost 100% of the times Ball Lightnings, 1 or 2, sometimes even 3, to be able to bring down the boss quite quickly. But don't worry, just use them. Your custom map run shouldn't be higher than like wave 100. You don't wanna farm your custom map for too much time. So past wave 100, it's already too much time. So you're gonna always end your custom map farming earlier than that, probably even earlier than like wave 80. Probably wave 80, it's around the best time to just complete your custom map farming. And then as your tower reaches the maximum passive level that you can achieve depending on your research, you can go for power modifiers here at the corner, and therefore in that way you're just maximizing the damage as much as possible. And of course that is gonna make the flamethrower do more damage, you're gonna be able to survive more waves, and yeah, that's of course better. For flying enemies, remember to keep on using Ball Lightnings. For bosses, you're gonna need Ball Lightnings. And the gameplay, it's over either when you run out of energy or when you don't have any more Ball Lightnings. So that's pretty much it when the game is over. And without just further ado, when you think you have already done what you could, you can end your game, right? And remember that it's not just bit dust, the important things that you're gonna need to look at. Also the tiles that you're gonna gain that can be sold for prestige dust, or can be placed on custom maps to then sell it for prestige tickets. Then, for example, lucky shot tickets, very, very important for the wheel to gain research tickets. Rarity tickets, another very important thing that's going to increase the rarity by 50%. So yeah, it's not just beat this. It's a lot of other things that you can then sell or you can then use to increase your research and your overall progress in the game. Now, as I said before, once you start, with Flamethrower, once you have a pretty decent amount of upgrades, you can survive pretty well. That's when you're gonna start farming with both Flamethrower and Splash. And when that happens, you're gonna just do this very quick change to your custom map. So you're gonna place like double tiles like this. So double damage tile. So in one you're gonna place your Flamethrower, in the other one you're gonna place your Splash. I'm gonna just do this quick change so that enemies can still reach my base like this, right? And this map is gonna be exactly the same as before, right? But in this case, you're gonna have the ability to place another tower. Splash can also target flying enemies, so this makes it a little bit easier to survive flying waves, so you're not gonna need to actually use always ball lightning. But at the beginning, I just recommend to always start with Flamethrower and always upgrade first Flamethrower, and then slowly you can maybe place Splash and you can upgrade it. But first, always go for Flamethrower. Go for Splash after you're almost maxed your Flamethrower. And for Splash, always go for first ability, second one, and then go for the ultimate on Splash, because the ultimate is much stronger than going for more power. So yeah, just go for it, and yeah, it's exactly the same as before. So I mean, I can play it for you if you want to, just to have an idea on what to do. But once again, here my Splash is also max level, so of course it's gonna be a lot stronger than what you may have it. But as I said before, just focus here on your Flamethrower, placing the modifiers, really trying to boost it as much as possible. And then, and only then, you can start upgrading your Splash, maybe a couple of levels. For example, right here, maybe level 2 or 3 could be nice. But then I'm gonna just increase my Flamethrower here. Probably I'm gonna just max it, right, level 10. And then, once it's maxed, then I can start upgrading my Splash. Of course, here I'm receiving a ton of cash as well. So, yeah, I can do all these things very quickly. But, yeah, it's gonna take a lot more time for you. But don't worry, slowly you're gonna be able to progress, to improve. And yeah, this is the next stage of farming. Like when you can start farming with these two towers, that's when you can really start using insta of the wave. So in this case, you're gonna have all the enemies coming out at the same time, because you're gonna do a lot more damage with your towers. Yeah, once you have your towers, pretty well set up, you can go for some more modifiers here. You can go also for some attack speed modifiers for Splash, because Splash also benefits because it has attack speed. And when you start farming with these two towers, your base also, if you have also some more attack speed, of course it's better, because you're gonna make your Splash stronger. And yeah, so that's the only change. Once you start farming with both Flamethrower and Splash, you wanna start, may wanna choose a base that not only has good range and damage, but also has some decent attack speed, some decent experience multiplier, and yeah, so you have multiple tweaks that can make your tower stronger. If you need to use abilities, just use abilities at your disposal and whenever you need them. Yeah, this is the next stage of farming. You can even increase even further this. If, for example, right here, you can just drop some resources. For example, I don't know, some resource that is 100% that has Scholar. You can place a Scholar right here, 3. Normally it's like the best number. And then what happens is that when you start your game right here, you place, as always, your Flamethrower, right? You place your Splash, Search, and then you go for some modifiers. If you also place a miner and you go for a mining speed experience modifier, you're going to give experience to your towers, and they're going to be able to level up much faster. And by being able to level up much faster also means that you're going to be able to achieve higher levels. And so your tower is going to have more power, it's going to be just a lot stronger overall. And that's of course another thing that's going to make you a lot stronger. So yeah, just go for some upgrades here on the miners. Level 2 normally it's enough, sometimes even level 3. Get as many of these experience modifiers right here. Yeah, you can see that my towers now are leveling up a lot passively as well. So that's why I'm able to have here already flame tower level 50, this one level 44. So that's of course much better. And then you increase your towers. Like of course here I'm doing all these things very quickly, but you can of course take your time and you can go even slower. And yeah, eventually you can make your towers like reach level 100 here very quickly. And when that happens, like you have the maximum amount of power possible. And yeah, especially going for miners like this and going for experience modifiers is very helpful when you have your towers that can reach like level 50, right, level 40, level 50. So that's of course a help. But when your towers can reach level 100 already, you should like not farm custom map, but you should start farming like level 6.3. So this is already, if you can farm your custom maps like this, that means that you should stop farming them and you should start focusing on level 6.3. And here I just need to give the last experience to flamethrower. Right when it reaches level 100, I'm gonna just sell all these miners and all these modifiers because, well, towers like can't level up any further, so there is no point in getting them. And yeah, if you need to use abilities, see how far you can get. In this case, for example, I'm very far because of just the amount of research I have, but this is just an example. It was an example just to show you how to approach and how to then progress through your custom maps. But you can see that the amount of loot I get is not very higher, right? Even if I go super quick and even if I have modified my custom map. So the most important thing is gonna modify the amount of loot you get is gonna be the difficulty at which you're playing, and it's gonna be loot frequency right here, loot rarity, and then of course with the drop rate. So as I've said many other times, once you reach like around level 30 right here, level 30 loot frequency and level 20 loot rarity, you should stop farming custom maps and you should start farming level 6.3 because you're gonna gain a lot more of resources and overall tickets. With this, you're gonna be able to farm a lot better. So yeah, that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed and see ya. Bye bye.